I think now, even though jobs are being taken away, this is the best time to start a company and to be an entrepreneur because there's the tools to do that now. So I think this is a great opportunity. And there's all the tools, all the things that you need to do whatever you want really to do. So I think it's an amazing time to be here. And my advice for folks would be is move fast, but make sure not to break trust.
Welcome to the AI Space podcast. AI isn't just a future, it's a force rewriting the rules of business, wealth creation, and society. Like it or not, it's going to make the next generation of trillionaires. The only question you have to ask yourself is this: will I blaze a path, follow the crowd, or be left in the dust? If you're a founder, innovator, or technologist seeking to grow, scale, and win with AI, well, this is an AI show for you. This is the 18th episode, and we're thrilled to have Anna Anisin here, founder of FormulatedBy and Data Science Salon. So FormulatedBy leverages machine learning and AI in marketing strategies for over a decade, long before it became mainstream. Today, they're leading the way in AI marketing and agent-driven marketing, helping clients tap into the future of growth through smarter, more personalized, and scalable engagement strategies. Anna's a seasoned entrepreneur, ecosystem builder, and business owner with deep roots in the tech world and a passion for creativity. She also leads Data Science Salon, one of the most trusted communities in AI and machine learning. And most recently, Anna launched I Want Her Shoes podcast, now a top 100 podcast on Apple. I'm Sanjay, Kalluvilayil, founder and CEO of Stonehaas Advisors, your trusted advisor for AI founders and businesses focused on go-to-market strategy and execution. Anna, we just dive in right away into the episode. So what do you see as the hottest trends in AI going forward? First of all, welcome.
Thank you, Sanjay. It's really great to be here. Thank you so much for having me. Well, let's go ahead and dive right in. I think there's definitely a few trends that we've been seeing. The first one is RAG. I mean, obviously, you know about this one. We see it everywhere from fintech to healthcare. And it's a really practical way to combine trusted internal data with really using generative AI. Agentic AI systems are really, redefining workflows. We've been using them ourselves for quite a few years now, and it's really nice to see them now being able to, anybody could build an agentic AI flow now, right? So this opens up new possibility for productivity tools, for collaboration, all kinds of things like that. So, and also multimodal AI, that's a big thing, for text, images, video, these kind of podcast things and everything, and federated learning at scale, which is really important as well. So I think those are kind of the trends right now. At least that's what we're seeing in the data science salon community.
In terms of, there's a lot of trends, but, we're talking to founders, people that are trying to grow their businesses, etc. What do you see some of the top strategies, AI or non-AI, to drive growth and scale?
Well, that's a great question, Sanjay. So there's some things, there's definitely some things I usually talk about is build for real business impact, right? So focused on those use cases to drive revenue, cut costs, or improve customer experience fast. Think, churn models, Gen AI, content, ops, and AI-powered lead scoring. Those are some examples of that. Think about modernizing with hybrid AI architecture. So combining generative AI for creativity with classic machine learning for real precision. And this flexible approach is more scalable, and it's also very cost efficient. Invest in data foundations. As you know, a lot of people want to do AI, but they don't have any data. So, how do we do that? You can't really. So you really have to have centralized data catalogs. So to actually do AI and generative AI or any of those things. I think you should really look at agent-based automation. Like I mentioned, that's a big thing because really now you don't really need to know how to write code. You could really easily set that up just using simple tools like ChatGPT, and non-technical teams can do this as well and be a lot more productive and efficient. And also, as I mentioned, RAG, pipelines, SLMs over small models over large language models. That's a big thing that we're seeing as well. and also make AI part of your valuation story. That is just something that I think a lot of people don't forget to do. So I think that's the last thing I would say on that point.
Wow, yeah, there's a lot of wonderful nuggets there. So now, we can breathe, take a little step back. Hey, tell us a little bit more about your background, what got you here, what led you into the foray into AI.
Gosh, so I mean, that's a great question. So I'll start all the way, going back to when I was in the Bay Area. My first startup was really when I was around 16, and I had an eBay store, and I got my first computer a few years before that. And, I was always very interested in using technology and making money. So that was really the first thing that I did. And then after that, I got really interested in tech, and I built my first startup was called Baseball Beauties. And I got that to 250,000 users, and it was a community for female baseball fans, and it got acquired by a Japanese company. And actually, the story, and this was one of the reasons I launched the I Want Her Shoes podcast, as the story about that is actually it was a pair of shoes that led to this whole thing of somebody acquiring my company, because I met a person at a conference. It was the first like O'Reilly Web 2.0 conference. And he complimented my shoes, and then we became friends. And then a couple years later, he found a buyer for my startup. And I was 25 at the time. So that was my first exit. And after that, I got some cred in Silicon Valley, and I was the CEO at ForSync and ForShared, and we competed with Dropbox. We didn't win, so that wasn't a success, but I was running an office of 30 people. We opened an office. It was, we really were competing in TechCrunch Disrupt. We were doing all those things. And after that, I started Pasari, and that was my last exit. And we built the first and the only still software for the funeral industry. So it was, software where you can intake information, and also with a marketplace in the front end. And it's still the number one software, because that industry, as you can imagine, is very slow to adopt anything. And shortly after that, I got into AI by joining Domino Data Lab. And this was in around 2013. And we were one of the first data science platforms. And that was my marketing. I joined their team, founding team as the head of marketing. And I was there for a couple of years. And after that, I launched my own agency, FormulatedBy, and Data Science Salon. The reason being for FormulatedBy is that everybody, wanted to work with us. And there was just a lot of, interesting projects. So that's why that came about. And I've, worked with a lot of different companies, over 100 now, from Plotly to Monte Carlo to Databricks to you name it, a lot of different large Microsoft, IBM, Oracle. So a lot of different companies. And Data Science Salon really came about because when I joined Domino's 2013, there wasn't a lot of communities for AI, like AI data science at all. So it was an opportunity. And, the whole thing about Data Science Salon was to really, the whole mission was to get rid of bias, not only in algorithms and, but also in the community. So we've always been one of the most diverse events out there. We always have at least half speakers are women. We have a lot of minorities at our events, and we've helped a lot of people actually get visas and get jobs. So that is a big part of our mission at Data Science Salon, and that's the reason why it was all born, because there was a need for that community.
No, that's fair. So tell us a little bit about Formulated By. So what's the mandate? What are your target segments, the use cases?
Yeah, I mean, there's pretty much all kinds of use cases, but we work with mostly deep tech kind of products. As I mentioned, Databricks and Oracle would be some of the largest, and Google Cloud. And then there's startups like Root Signals and Galileo and Monte Carlo. So we really like kind of the seed to be, or we like to be like with somebody like Databricks or Snowflake, where we could fill their funnel, right? Like, so we could guarantee that we're bringing you fresh leads. And how do we do that? We do that through different experiential things. We're really heavily focused on experiential marketing. Just like, an example is Salesforce. They've grown through experiential marketing, through events, through all of, the webinars, through those kind of engagements. So we do that for clients. So we help startups and larger companies to engage with their ICP in creative ways, right? So, and that's could be through webinars, white papers, could be through very different campaigns, or it could be through dinners or something very, very unique. The most unique campaign that we did was really for Plotly in Montreal, and we built a co-working space actually for them to grow their community there, and it actually took off quite a bit. So that was a lot of fun. So it could be, and for Oracle, for example, we helped them fill in their funnel for their startup program. So it just depends on what the client wants, but we specialize in specifically products and services that want to sell to, data practitioners, AI practitioners, developers, those kind of folks.
We actually met at a data science salon event. I believe it was in February. It was in Austin. It was a AI, ML, and enterprise. Actually, Anastasia Prithias, who's on our DeepSeek episode earlier in the year, she and Ariana Smetana from invited me to that event, and I was a guest of theirs, and I met you there. And so it's great to have you here now. So tell a little bit more, folks, about Data Science Salon, the community. I'm also part of that community too, on Slack, etc. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, I mentioned the story previously about getting rid of bias. So that is, our core mission. But as far as the community, we have over 120,000 members in North America, and we get around 250,000 impressions a month on our website. And we have a grant from Google and a partnership with Princeton University, and a lot of ambassadors, around 300. So it's been, and we've been around, gosh, it's going to be almost a decade next year. So, because, Data Science Salon started in 2016. So, it's going to be 10, next year, which is really exciting. And it's, we have a podcast, we have webinars, now we're doing 6 events, all over the country, dinners, all kinds of stuff. And most of the resources are completely free for the community. So, and that is because it's really to give people good content that's relevant, and all the content that's created is through the community, through the events, through webinars, through the ambassadors, through people that are really doing the work inside their enterprises, and they're sharing what they're working on, which is really, really cool.
That's good. And you have a big event coming up, right? So tell the folks about that.
Yeah, so our next event that we're really focused on now and we're really excited about is DSS Miami. So that's Data Science Salon Miami, and that's going to be our 8th event here in Miami, and this is our headquarters as well. And that one is really going to be focused around generative AI and the use cases in the enterprise, right? So we will talk about agentic AI and RAG and all of those things, and we have some really great companies going, like Google, DeepMind, and Visa, and Citibank, and a lot of others, which are really amazing. And it's going to be a one-day event. There's going to be a VIP dinner the day before. So if you are interested in meeting people in the Miami data science, AI, and machine learning community, this is definitely the event to go to, because we have everybody from the local community that comes out, and the speakers, some of them are actually coming in from different places, San Francisco, New York. I think there's actually somebody coming from Austin. I would have to double check, but yeah, should be a really awesome event.
Yeah, no, I'm sure that people from all over would want to come to that, and I'd be interested in, finding hopefully my calendar, to find a way to.
Yeah, you should come down. Yeah, maybe record a podcast during it. Yeah, I love doing that.
Then done, deal.
Yes,
I'm actually, just to let you know, we're moving into some live events. I'm actually secured some, so we'll figure that out. But now let's talk about, because we also you have another successful podcast. So you won for a Data Science Salon, but completely different area. I Want Her Shoes podcast. So talking a little about that, and it's doing really well. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so that one just came out, from passion. And as I said, it goes back to kind of the story that I shared about those shoes. And my first exit. And what I Want Her Shoes podcast is really about is how to use style as a tool, in your career, in your life. And I talk to a lot of successful women, entrepreneurs, founders, or high level executives who have been successful and have really, really cool stories. And I ask them to bring a pair of shoes and share a story. And there's a lot of emotions that come out. And it's really interesting to see that we all have the same things in common, so which is the love for shoes and the stories that go behind them. So it's been really cool to see it grow, and it's very light listen. It's not meant to be very heavy. It's just meant to be entertaining and inspiring, really, to continue to work on your goals, to continue to dress up and be inspired, really, to be yourself.
Yeah, no, I know you're often on the other side of the microphone, so hopefully as people from your communities, from whether it's Data Science Salon or, I Want Our Issues podcast, come on and hear your story, right? Welcome to all those folks. Hopefully they're coming to hear about your story. So that's amazing. So I'm going to just ask you a question. Obviously you're very successful in business and, podcasts and other types of things. So what resonated with you to say, hey, I want to be a guest on the show? We're only a couple, 6+ months old, so thanks for coming on and, being on here and share your story. So what resonated with you to come on the show?
Well, I mean, I think it's because it was really awesome meeting you at the Data Science Salon in Austin. And I think, I really liked that episode that you posted. And I think you guys are doing a great thing. I think the more people we talk to and information that we share, I think that's great. So thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no, I think you're talking to the Anastasia previous episode.
Yes,
on
Anastasia's podcast. Yeah, that was really great. And, it was a great to get.
Yeah, DeepSeek had just come out, and we are both like just trying to figure out. We're talking about mixture of experts, and how the model is different, and and you focus on inference, etc. So no, that's cool. So before we continue, I want everyone to follow Anna Anisin, like, comment, and subscribe to the AI Space podcast, because when you do, it helps to grow the show and have a more impressive guests like Anna. And then in terms of also, if you're looking to really grow and scale your business, find a way, and you're stuck, find a way to connect with me. You can book a meeting, etc. But let's shift gears a little bit. As we're talking about AI and growing and other things, always a lot of people talk about technology, but I think you always go back to vision and mindset. You're a founder of a company, AI communities, podcasts. What do you think are the critical insights you can share around vision and mindset for someone to be successful long term?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And I'm going to split them up by, starting with vision. And I think you really have to design for alignment and think about alignment, not just achievement, right? So always think about your values, lifestyle, and legacy, not just KPIs. That's a big thing. And my vision has always been rooted in integrating tech, like, as I told you, when I first got my computer, when I was like 13, with with some kind of human purpose. Now, with Data Science Salon, it's all been about just giving back to the community, right? So for me now as a founder, that's a really important mission, right? To give something back, to elevate others, right? So I think maybe it's not that for you, but definitely have some kind of value or vision or mission, right? That behind what you're doing, because that's definitely going to align with people more. And connect with people to follow you and to support what you're doing.
I want to add there, I mean, I really like what you said there, because I think in life we tend to focus, especially in American society, on trophies and treasure. And I think like what you said there about, it's really about lifetime and legacy. So I just want to, bring out that point. But go ahead into mine.
Yeah, no, thanks. No, and going back to that, that's why I said that. I think if you actually have those other things, though, I think you'll be more successful. You know what I mean? Like, it just like, I feel like there's data.
If you focus on that, that's the leading indicators versus the outputs will be the treasure and the trophies, right?
Exactly. Yes, 1000%. And I mean, I think the mindset goes with that too, right? Because you need to have the right mindset and really, work on yourself too. Like, I feel like, and being a founder in my 20s to now being an older founder, it's very different where your mindset is, right? So I think you really have to just, understand yourself and really like have a good balance so you can really, be a good leader and whatever you're doing, right? And have a good positive mindset and be authentic because I think authenticity is also just so important, right?
Yeah. And then, I guess there's a vision and mindset, then you have to actually turn into action, right? So as you're trying to grow and scale a company, right? There's different skill sets that's really required. A lot of people can dream, but they never get off the couch or what have you. And, you can do a lot of actions and not get the results. But thinking back to when you started your companies, right? The hardest part, because it looks like what's interesting, what you said earlier, you're actually working with some very large companies. You would think they already have an install base, lead gen's not a problem. They're going to get clients, but actually they're reaching out to you to help them fill their pipeline, right? So as the folks that are, and this is something I had to learn, I was in 30 plus years in consulting and professional services, business and all this stuff. And you take for granted, people always, especially on the technology side, say, oh, I saw even one podcast, like who are basically they're calling the not valuable people, the sales and marketing people. But if you don't have leads in sales and marketing, the technology doesn't matter. Your buildings don't matter. You can't make payroll, right? So, and I had to learn to put on my CMO hat, right? There's no cash coming in. Nobody has a job. So, what do you think it takes to get to that the first few clients, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think, again, now we could talk a little bit about strategy, right? And being able to pivot and evolve with everything because I was just talking to somebody earlier about this too, that the technology moves so quickly, especially in the AI, the deep tech world, right? So you really have to have a good strategy, be able to pivot quickly, and just be able to sustain that, right? And scale. And I think a lot of the time there's like something missing from those three things. And that's why people are not really able to move forward onto the next part of what, their business needs to do.
In terms of filling the pipeline, do you have advice for folks out there that try to fill their pipeline? And they said, "Hey, I had a job and I was a sales guy and all this or gal and did all this stuff, and now I was like, whoa, now I get to go find my own leads." And it's not easy. And you have to like build your brand, you have to build your presence, you have to. So, what are some insights you have for folks that are trying to still figure that out?
Well, I mean, everything is really, AI has changed this stuff a lot. So I think, but what AI is not going to change is really the relationships, right? And the networking part of it, because you really like, essentially, if you look at all the things that we do, obviously there's content that's created with AI, but it's a lot of relationships and things that like trust that you build, right? With people through what you do. And that is really what makes a difference. So I think that is what you should think about is being authentic, right? And having those values going back to that really and how figuring out how do I connect with people, to actually uh, send that message that I want to send, right? Not in, like you really have to have that authentic way to communicate that message that you want, whatever that you're selling, right? Because you're always essentially selling something yourself. You're selling yourself.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, too, is realize like if I'm providing consulting, they're not buying my consulting services. They're buying results at the end of the day. Do they believe that I am the person that can be, or whoever the business is this business or person, can they be trusted? Do they have a methodology or framework and the ability to actually deliver the results that I expect with on pace and quality, right? And that's what they have to believe in. They're not, none of us, and you buy, like even on your shoes, right? Shoes give you an experience, right? You're not, okay, it's a red shoe or whatever shoe, but it's how it makes you feel. Or for some people, it's like, it's a representation of a certain part of their lifestyle, right? And that's what people need to understand.
Yep. Yeah, no, 1000%. And that goes back to marketing and emotions. It's all about that, really.
Yeah, I think as people start doing more AI automation, there's a lot out there. I think you start losing that personal touch, and you can be clever and put in AI. You can put in your brand persona, right? And I'll be honest, I had some folks that are reaching out to me to do some lead gen type stuff, and they create some message. I'm like, that is not the way I would talk. It was very
Yeah, but I think people get confused now because they see so much of it, Like now they start like thinking that's the way people talk, but it's not. Like it looks like it's fake. Looks like AI.
But the cool thing is with the AI, you can even go in there and build your persona. Like this is like for Stonehaas Advisor, I can build my style. It has to be professional, it has to be witty, clever, creative. So I put those dimensions. And yeah, you can use AI to brainstorm, but it should never be the final product where, okay, I'm just going to blindly click it and go. You have to have your intelligence, your personality, your creativity, your emotion in that. I think a lot of people are trying to lose that, and people are going to get inundated with messages, right? And that's going to be a problem with AI going forward.
Yes. No, agreed for sure.
And so now, once you get the initial customers, what do you see in terms of scaling, right? Um, okay, obviously you've got some big clients. You got your first initial clients. How'd you go from those one-offs, those couple kind, some clients to a wider set of clients? What was your
Well, so
approach to
for
that?
us, that's not the goal. We're a boutique, so we don't want to do that. We could do that for our
But you
clients,
don't
but
want just
for
one
us, yeah.
client either, right?
Yeah, we usually take about 5 to 10 clients at a time, and that's the way I like to run the business. But if you want to scale your business, there's a lot of different ways to do it. But for us, it's very, as I said, it's very boutique and it's very niche. And, cause I like to work on a lot of these projects myself. So, and I kind of represent the brand. So, and I can't do more than that. I can't clone myself. I mean, I'm sure essentially I can, but that is not the goal here. The goal here is to really show that like very exclusive experience to the companies that we work with.
No, I mean, I think that's important going back to the vision, mindset, and your values, etc. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but if somebody wanted to scale, they would have to find a way to clone you 3 to 5 to 10 times, right? But I guess that's where AI could come into play. Is
Well,
like,
yes, exactly. And I think during COVID, we had a pretty large team, during that time. And we had, I think around like the biggest time we had about 25 people on the team. And now we have 5 people on the team. So, and I really like the 5 people on the team. And I think with AI and stuff, you can do a lot more. But again, when you go back to relationships, it's also about relationships. Like a lot of people still want that relationships. They still want to talk to me directly. So that is what makes kind of working with us very special. Cause with the big agencies, you're never going to talk to the CEO, the person that's ahead, like in charge of the strategy. You're just going to get people that run your account. So that makes us very different in that regard.
yeah, no, and that actually leads us to the next, using tools, and yeah, you're able to do with 1/5. You know, you're probably doing at least the same level or more. So that leads us a little bit more in technology. So what do you see as some of the tools and frameworks that you're using or seem popular in your communities, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, as I mentioned, we've definitely been using agentic AI for a while, and we built some custom things, to automate some of our, sales, because we don't have a sales team for data science salon. So that is all really agentic. For marketing, really Chat GPT and its tools, and its apps are great. Like you can really get everything done. Claude is also good, and so is Copy AI. Copy AI is really good for very like specific sales, sequences and things like that. They have an amazing library for that. We also use Monday and Slack and Notion, those kind of tools. They all have an AI, and then we use HubSpot. That's a big tool for us. And for podcasts, usually we use Descript and CapCut for editing. Those are like our favorite tools to use for those, but we're not super heavy. Like we don't need 100 tools. I need really like a good, as an agency, you just need like a dozen tools probably, but like to be very strong, and that's all you really need.
Yeah. And so let's, especially we got people that are trying to get into AI or leverage AI. Let's start with the basics, right? In terms of some of the large language models, whether it's, ChatGPT or Anthropic Claude, or now there's Grok, and, Complexity, which is an answer engine, which uses some of the other LLMs, and it has its own version too. But so do you use regular ChatGPT Pro, or do you also create a custom GPT within
Yeah,
ChatGPT?
we a lot of custom GPTs. Yeah. basically. Yeah, a lot of custom GPTs for
Yeah,
different
okay,
things.
very
Yeah.
good. Yeah, no, I think I've tried all those, and then now I have like my own Stonehaas Advisor CMO custom GPT in Chat GPT, and then so going back to what you said about RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation. So these LLMs are trained on general data. It can be scraping the internet, it can be Wikipedia, is general data, right? But when you get to enterprise use, it's not really trained on that data. So for a company, they may have a set of information that needs to be used, and you can use it's like a access to a database or a PDF file or whatever to augment the data sets, right? So maybe you can help elucidate that more for some of the folks in the audience that are still trying to figure out RAG.
So is the question that you're asking about like the data privacy, or can you kind of repeat the
Or
question?
just are you using, so you had mentioned RAG earlier. Are you using it with some of your custom GPTs, or adding extra
No,
PDF file?
nothing like really like that complex for
Okay,
us.
okay.
No, we just use like like whatever's in the box, that they have. Yeah, but I mean, I'm sure there's definitely things you could do. There's definitely so many, like there's this tool called Glue out there that I know some people use, that you could do some really custom things like on top of that, of ChatGPT and other things, but we're not doing that yet. So but there's definitely things you could do that are way more custom. It just depends how complicated you want to make it and where do you want to get the data, because I think that's the thing. Like if you're using ChatGPT, you only get you need to put other data sources in there if you really want to do like real marketing work and like real lead gen work.
Oh yeah, definitely. You have to augment it, etc. Even though this was a business related, I was actually testing out creating a language custom GPT, and where my parents are from my family's originally from in India. It's the language called Malayalam, which is a very difficult language to learn. And but I've learned to read the script and some basic words, but some of the pronunciations to help with, I actually had to use the International Phonetic Alphabet chart. I use it. I created a custom GGP and added that as a RAG or a PDF into there to help translate some of the words, how to pronounce some of the letters. So that was one of the applications where I used. So now you said, are there things all you're doing from a marketing perspective, leveraging any of the AI tools or some of the lead gen side, or like?
Really for content and automation. So those are the two things. And I mean, we don't do ads, but you can use it. That's like a really good use case for it. Like that is a big use case. What we don't actually do ads, are like we don't provide that service. So for us, we use it a lot for content and automation, like basically automating everything, workflows, basically all of that, making it way more efficient. Like I said, I don't need 25 people. I just need 5 to get all those done. You know what I mean? Everything's automated. Everything's part of a playbook. And that's how it works now.
That's great. And then, yeah, I know there's some services out like, Apollo and others, so they're using AI for lead.
Yeah, definitely. We use like Seamless. So that's, another one of those. So we use that just for, getting the pulling data and stuff like that. But there's so many different ones you can use. Apollo is definitely a good one. So
And
they're
then,
just expensive. You know what I mean? It just depends how much money you want to spend on them.
yeah, or you use a free version and the different ones. And yeah, once you scale, then you have to get to the pro packages. So then, now we talk about automation, right? So you mentioned that a couple times. What do you do in terms of, and then we'll talk about agentic, right? So in terms of automation, what are y'all doing in terms of that, some of the workflow automation?
Well, yeah, I mean everything, like all the webinar things that we do, all of the event emails, that is all automated and in workflows and triggers. So that is all, like there's nothing there that it's all triggered. It's all, basically, and it's, we've been doing that for many years. That's something that has been available. Before agentic AI, the first time we actually have implemented agentic AI was about 2021, I would say. So it's been a few years now. And one of our advisors actually built custom models for us where we can actually, they pull data from a database that we have on a server, and then they send out emails and such. and they fall. And when somebody replies, then it'll push it back to one of our reps. So that's how we've been using agentic AI. And that is a very simple use case. And there's a lot of tools now that you don't have to build this yourself, right? And I mentioned like Glue. That's basically what it does. Is yet you connect to different data sources, and you can, basically it'll tell you exactly what to tell the specific person, even right, in a sequence. So, but yeah, that's how we've been using it because we don't have a sales team. So what, like basically the outreach that we've been doing has all we have to do is just upload the data, right? And then it'll do the rest of the work.
No, that's amazing. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I mean, that's probably gonna blow some people's minds away. In terms of, those are those custom solutions that y'all have built in the past?
Yeah,
Or
so
you
what I
using
just mentioned, that was custom, and I said there's tools now that you can like
yeah,
Glue.
on the agents, but even on the automation side, all the outreach stuff was
The
that
automation is all HubSpot. Like we use HubSpot
okay.
for all of that. Yeah.
Okay, so for those that don't know, HubSpot is one of the CRMs out there. There's Go High Level, there's Salesforce. There's different things that capture your customer information, and and where you can do outreach and then capture the information and have a track record of, hey, how many times did I touch them? In terms of reaching in the conversation history, was it through SMS, email, or some other form of
Don't
contact?
try to hit up a data scientist with SMS, Sanjay. They
Yeah,
will
I know.
block you right away.
No,
So yeah,
trust
that
me.
is not. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, that's a good thing to bring up. That like how do you communicate with your community, right? And different people want to be communicated with different ways. And that AI can help you figure that out. But like, and I could tell you that definitely we do not use SMS for our marketing because that's something that this community finds very intrusive. They do not want to be like text messaged at all. So because I feel like that we're a lot on our computers, right? And I think when people go on their phone, they're like, oh, that's my personal thing. So yeah, so that's just I'm just giving you a use case because that is definitely a no for marketing for the technical.
Yeah, and it depends on the content because especially it depends. Like in general one, you don't want to reach out an SMS. But if they filled out a lead now, if they filled out a lead form or you have a lead magnet and they provide that information, they've okayed for you to that may be
Yes, yeah, exactly. That's like Luma. Like if you use Luma and they sign up for your event, then it's okay. Yes, like they could get things from Luma and they're okay with that. But like if you send them like something to their personal text, like from yeah, that is definitely like they will never talk to your company again.
no. Trust me, I've signed up for something for like a PDF or something, and then some of these very famous like marketing sales type companies, they'll hit you up on email.
Every single platform. It's insane.
Yeah, and like 3 times on each end, like you get a text message, yo, you signed up here and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay.
Yo, just leave me alone.
I'm unsubscribed. And then, for example, too, somebody hit me up on LinkedIn right before I was going on a family vacation, right? So we went on to that, and then they're like pinging the next day, did you check out my thing? And then I'm on my vacation. Did you check out my thing? And then I come back. It takes a day or two to like get settled back in. I'm catching up to all my messages. Hey, you haven't responded to my thing. I'm like, okay, I would have. That was on my list, but after you've hit me like so many times, now I have no interest in engaging with you because you're coming off pushy and desperate, right? And so I think for those people that are out there to try and build their campaigns, yeah, I'm building out some too, and give people a chance to breathe, and people are busy, they have meetings, they're traveling, they may want to get to you if they don't, but give my advice is just let people breathe.
That's great advice. I second that.
Okay, good. So in terms of, you said also from your podcast perspective, you've used some tools. So what are some things potentially that people can take a look at? I'll give you an example. So for myself, the team has put some stuff, and then I'll sometimes use something like vidIQ to look at, how the keywords and other things, are they relevant? They'll kind of score my title or the thumbnail. At least it's mostly directional. I don't think it's like it's still more of an art than a science, right? So there's other tools out there that you can use, and there's other tools that I've looked at potentially, like SEMrush or some agentic stuff like Lindy out there. I haven't
Yeah,
gotten
unfortunately,
gotten to it.
SEMrush doesn't work anymore because of the whole change in SEO and
No.
all of that. It doesn't give you the right information anymore. So we stopped using it, but we used that for many, many years.
Oh, well, that's good to know. I haven't dove it and did the deep dive on that one yet, so that's good to know.
Yeah, because I mean, SEO has been, a big part. I mean, as you can imagine, of any marketing, right? And it's changed quite a bit with AI. So people are still trying to figure out kind of where content is going to land. It's still very important. We are just figuring out how all of it is going to like reframe itself, in the Google universe and with all these other tools now in the universe, right? So.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, and that's a good point. When the Wade Foster from Zapier episode, he talked how they built their business on search, but now people are typing into ChatGPT, Perplexity, even Google AI, and so not as much is going to come up on search. And you said it's changing, so we're kind of in a flux, and those are things, and that's important why we're having this conversation is to bring out these things that people are trying to launch a business like, oh, and they don't even know this, that search is changing and there's different characteristics that are occurring because of the chat GPTs and perplexities of the world, right?
Yes, yep. Which is exciting. It's really exciting time to be part of tech,
Right. Any other, I don't want to over dwell too much on the tech side, but any other thoughts or insights to where the maybe even where the technology is heading, some of your thoughts.
I mean, I think it's going to take a little bit longer I mean, I think the jobs are going to get replaced faster than people think, but as far as like real robotics and things like that, that's going to take longer, because that's precision, right? I think we still have to do a lot more work with that. But I definitely think like we really have to figure out how to be, thought leaders and, how to really understand how to use AI to your advantage because it is going to be replacing a lot of jobs, right? And we're talking about sales, marketing, PR, all of those things, right? So because you really don't need, as I said, you don't need as many people. You just need people that know how to use AI. So that is really what's coming, which is really interesting. Like we have to think about how to talk to students about this because now students are looking at other, the future of like law and medicine is different now, right? Like it's very different of how these things are going to look in the next decade than they did the last decade.
And we have a data camp episode with Richie Cotton. We actually talk about that. One of the things about AI that, there's a lot of upside to it, but the unemployment is definitely coming faster. You see, Microsoft just came out with 9,000 jobs and they're investing in AI. Amazon has come out and said jobs are going to go away, etc. And, I went to a recent event and the students are saying that it's hard to find jobs. And we talked about this on that episode too. Is like the entry level, because AI is going to be, especially with automation and agentic, it's going to take away the need for some of these entry level positions and it's going to create a problem for society. It's like, well, then how does someone get any experience?
Well, how do you learn then? Yeah, how do you like actually get your skills if there's no entry level positions? Then we have to train AI to teach you to get you ahead, right? So that's something to think about, right? Like how do we use AI to get trained to skill up or upskill, right? Like to the next level? But I feel like sometimes you really need to be part of a team to do that. So that is going to be very interesting to see how people figure that out because I think that is definitely a problem that will need to be solved.
Yeah, and then also not only the technology side, it's like how do you get domain? At least you and I, we have domain expertise, right? We've been in specific industries or specific contexts, so it's not just about the technology. Like somebody's asked me to do something, it's like, oh, why can't you just outsource that to a junior person in India or the Philippines? I was like, well, what you're asking is for somebody with 30 years of experience. Yeah, I can produce that in probably an hour max because I have that experience. I know how to do the prompting and stuff. If I go try to outsource that to a junior level person, it could take them 10, 20 hours to do it if they can even do it. Because the question is, do they have the domain expertise and the technology savvy to go figure out how to answer that question, right? And that's going to be another issue right there.
Yeah. No, 1000%.
And that leads us into, why communities like yours, Data Science Salon, is important. So let's go back to the Miami conversation. What do you see? What's going to be some of the key items on on the agenda for that from a technology perspective. So people are like, oh man, I didn't really see all this coming. Maybe I need to get involved. Maybe I need to learn a little bit more. And maybe what's on the agenda for.
What's on the agenda? Well, we're definitely going to be talking about RAG, and what usually we talk about at our events is two different things, and you went to one. So the one that you went to was a little bit different because it had a startup showcase. But usually we have a 1-day event that either has a business use cases. So people talking about, for example, what they're working on in their organization, right? So we'll have somebody, somebody, for a data science manager from Meta, Diksha, and she's going to be talking about leveraging data science and experimentation for business performance improvement. And she's going to be sharing a use case from Meta. Or there's going to be technical deep dives. So those are the two different things that you can expect, but it's all really going to be focused on things that we talked about, all the trends, and specifically in the enterprise.
No, that's great. And because one thing we forget in this AI age is the importance of community. When I went to your Austin event, I met a couple of people that interacted with, like Mario Lazzo, from Austin.
Yeah, he's great. He's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I want to encourage young people or those people in transition is get out there, join communities, meet people. Actually, going to another event tonight, the launch of like AI Collective or whatever. But those are important things. But also, my advice for the young folks out there: don't lose heart. And one of the key things you can do from a low hanging fruit is learn automation. Right? Learn how to use these automation tools, and you'll be much more valuable. Go get some training, build some projects, etc. Right? So that way you build up this expertise, because people are going to look for people like you that have, not you, but the young people that are out there that are learning automation. That's your chance to kind of break into a company or even start your own company, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I think now, even though jobs are being taken away, this is the best time to start a company and to be an entrepreneur because there's the tools to do that now. So I think this is a great opportunity. And there's all the tools, all the things that you need to do whatever you want really to do. So I think it's an amazing time to be here. And my advice for folks would be is move fast, but make sure not to break trust because, you really have to create those relationships because AI is not going to take those away. And again, like going back to relationships, that is not going away. And to close business, you need the relationships. AI is not going to close a deal for you that's bigger than $100. Like that is just the data, the fact. You still need people there to close those large deals. You need to take a person out to dinner. You need those kind of very, personable things. And that's not going away. And that is an opportunity to get better at personal skills, right? To get better at building those relationships and build as many relationships as you can in the industry that you want to be in. That's what my advice would be.
No, that's great. It's a very powerful, positive message too. That was on actually one of the previous episodes on a good draw. This is the best time to be an entrepreneur because there's so many tools out there. You don't need to go hire 100 people, whatever. The next $1 trillion company could be a 10 to 50 person company. You can use these tools and
Or
keep building.
be a one-person company too.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can use these tools as some of these AI tools, agentic, especially as your founding team, right? But that leads us into our next question in terms of, yeah, this is a wonderful time, right? And I think AI is a very powerful democratization tool. But what do you see as some of the key challenges and opportunities in making AI accessible to people from a variety of industries, perspectives, experiences, and backgrounds? How can we bridge this gap?
Gosh, that's a really a great question and another full answer. I think the challenges are that it might be just too complex for people. And like we've seen that, like some people just don't, I have friends and we're not that old and they just don't want to use it. Like, right. So they don't want to use it. So, or they don't have a use case to use it. Right. So, or there's no data. There's no or there's fear of high cost and no low ROI. Those are the things that I would say would be, the things and but the opportunities are huge. Like, obviously you don't need to know how to code, like you said. You don't need to know you can just figure these things out really quickly. There's so many great applications out there. There's so many communities, right? And like ours, we're all about education and showing you how to do these things in the enterprise so you can really learn these things. And there's gonna be always like the human in the loop. That's a huge thing. And there's gonna be that's a framework that's not going anywhere. So you need, you could become that human in the loop, right? Because we're gonna need more and more of those people to really make sure that things are going fine and there's no bias, there's nothing, happening. Because there's a lot that could happen really with these models, right? Like if, the rag's not working or it's hallucinating, there's all these things that could go wrong. So, but I mean, there's a lot of things we could do to bridge that gap, right? We could show it's more about education, right? We could show people how easy it is to use. We can invest in storytelling, and we could really listen to people and lead with empathy. That's one thing that I always tell people, even if they don't want to do something, right? And I think we see this from, just individuals to huge enterprises where people just don't want to they don't want to do it because they're just too afraid of the risks, right? So you just have to really understand and listen. But I think the opportunities definitely outweigh the risks though, with all this.
Yeah, no, especially when I started this podcast, AI, and sometimes it could be very male dominated. I didn't necessarily want this to be totally a bro show either, right? So I try to make sure we had, really amazing women like yourself, founders and leaders coming on the show. I think I did a pretty good job in the beginning with the ratio. Then we had a couple where it didn't happen. I'm not trying to hit any quotas or targets or like that, right? But also it's it's a little bit challenging to, sometimes to find the right people that are willing to engage with you and respond to you and to come on a show too. But so thanks for being here. But the other thing is, what you said is very important. Either you want to or don't, right? So, like 2 years ago, you know, I had turned 50, right? And I'm like, okay,
Happy birthday.
2 years ago, now I'm older than that. So, but the thing was, I was like, okay, but I saw the future. I was like, wow, AI is coming down the pike. Um, I don't want to get stuck in this corporate cycle and be the most expensive person on the and I got to start building for myself. So I made that transition 2 years ago. Has it been an easy path being an entrepreneur? No, I'm still facing challenges. I was actually not much of a social media person. I'm not a consumer of podcasts. I'm actually not anymore much consumer of media, but now I'm launched the podcast and doing all these things and learning about AI and having to post on social media like LinkedIn and all these other assets and learning these tools. And yeah,
That's
but I think
amazing. That's great. But you're not you're an outlier for that, I think,
I'm an outlier in others.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, I think that's great. That's why you're going to be successful. And a lot of people will never, they won't do that
Well, I
because,
hope, yeah, hopefully, well, I had no choice. It's like,
yeah, you're
as long
like,
as
I
I'm,
have to do this.
there's no choice. I mean, it's either, while other people are retiring right now, I'm still trying to press forward. But I want to give encouragement to those that are out there still trying to do that. So, in terms of, right now, there's so much going on in terms of how fast AI is moving. How do we balance AI innovation and fast time to market with ethical and responsible AI governance and development?
Well, I think that's probably one of the really important questions in our industry, right? And I think it's not being asked enough. And I think there's just so much. I think what you can really start with is, as I mentioned, innovate with intention, right? And you really have to, I mean, there is a whole framework that you have to think about when you're implementing AI into your organization. I mean, I'm not going to go like really deeply into it, but it has to do with design, human oversight. You have to create a governance, like a leader of the group who's actually going to be overseeing all this. The culture has to be bought into this, right? So it's a big process, but you really have to do it because, as I mentioned before, AI could really change people's lives. Like, if there's real bias, like it could really ruin like in a negative way, right? Like if you wouldn't get a loan because there was some kind of mistake or something, like if there was hallucination or something, you know what I mean? Stuff like that is really like that's a huge thing, and like that could change a life. Or if you're a doctor, if something goes wrong and you operate on the wrong like organ or something, right? Like, so it's very critical to have these frameworks and think about, privacy, governance, all of those things. And I mean, I'm sure a lot more about this than me, but I definitely think that everybody should have a really good framework. Like that includes some of the things that I mentioned.
No, and I think based on what this episode, especially around the ethics and responsibility, it comes down to what you said. If I boil it down, it's like trust in the relationship at the end of the day, right? With yourself and with your customers at the end of the day, right? So, wow, this has gone by fast. Definitely, I know we had a lot of fun, and we talked about a wide range of topics from you know different AI tools and mindset, and your different podcasts and building communities, etc. Right? So, we're coming up on time. Where can they learn? Where can our viewers learn more about Anna Anisin, Formulated by Data Science Salon? Your podcast?
Yeah, I'll share all the links, but it's just iwanthershoes.com and formulatedby.com and datascience.salon. And I imagine that you guys will share all those links in the summary. And yes, I'm very open. As I said, I'm always operating with a mission. So, and I'm, very open to talking to other founders and giving tips, and inviting people into our community. So come and join us at one of our events. We're going to be in Miami on September 17th, in San Francisco at AWS Builders Loft on November 6th, and then we'll be at S&P Global in New York on December 11th.
Awesome. And, for those our viewers out there are still kind of trying to build out a space, trying to figure things out, grinding, any final words of encouragement do you have for them?
Gosh, I think don't wait too long. Just do it, man. Because I feel like that is really the advice that I always give people. Like, if you really just it's never too late. Like you said, you just turned 50. I'm 41 now, and I'm always doing new things, and I'm gonna continue to do that because it just don't be afraid to do new things. You just have to do it, and I think that's what people forget, right? That it's never too late. Get it done, and be authentic. Like, really have authenticity behind whatever you're doing.
That's amazing. I really like that. I mean, especially on authenticity portion, especially in this world of AI. Yeah, turned 52 this year, but this has been awesome. Anna, just everyone make sure to reach out, connect with her. Don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Find us on your favorite podcast platforms like Spotify and Apple. I've learned quite a bit from this episode, Anna. Looking forward to also figuring out how to work with you on the Miami event and other events.
Yes, I'm looking forward to
yeah
more about that offline too.
Yeah. And then I'm your host, Sanjay, founder and CEO of Stonehaas Advisors. I hope you gained a wealth of game-changing, real-world insights to grow, transform, and scale to new levels and dimensions leveraging AI. I hope to see you all next time. Thanks so much.